Does anyone else remember when people were finding random staircases in the woods? Reports about these mysterious stairways showing up in the middle of the forest began happening in the early 2010s.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa, and today's video is a compilation of creepy conspiracy theory TikToks. So that should be interesting. Go get your tinfoil hats. And this is also a mukbang. So today I have some interesting foods from the back rooms. And today I have Dolly Parton's chicken and dumplings. I have never had this before, so this should be interesting. And it looks like this. Thank you, Dolly Parton. And then to go with it, I have some flamin' hot Funyuns. And then as a dessert, this is also new, I think, Reese's Strawberry PB&J. Then for a beverage, I have Sour Gummy Worm Grape Soda. Okay, here we go. Go get a spicy snack and let's get into these spooky videos. And once again, today's topic is creepy conspiracy theories. Okay, first video.
Conspiracy topics in no particular order that frighten the living daylights out of me. You let me know which one I should dive into for conspiracy time with my hubs. The first one is it has to do with a certain famous country singer and the connections of his tour dates, and when you start connecting it to his alter ego. Remember his alter Chris Gaines? Remember that? And we all thought like he was just reinventing himself, but there's a podcast
I remember
that's connecting the dots with his tour dates, alleged missing people, even going to close to detail, talking about he wouldn't show up until like right before he went on, and like he would just like shady things connected to that. Also, when he made his like first big record deal and like what he bought was just kind of like a little odd. I mean, who knows? Like, who knows? The other one that really scares me to dive into is Palm Beach. That one scares me. That one scares me to dive into. There are some that are really scary that I just... Like, Brent and I laugh. Like, Brent's like, well, if dark SUVs show up at our door, like, we can be paid off. So, if you don't hear from us ever, that's probably what happened. You know what it is? It's like people thinking that we're not catching on, but, like, we're obviously catching on. Like, Palm Beach Pete is most definitely, allegedly, hypothetically, you know who. Just like G. Maxwell was allegedly, most definitely, some people say, swapped out. And then there was that girl on the plane. That's the mystery that keeps on keeping on when she saw that thing in the back of the plane. And everyone talks about, what did she see? Did she see an alleged reptilian shapeshifter? Thing was not human. We know, some people say that these things are like walking among us. Like, we know that at this point. Okay, 2020 me was just starting to dive into these possibilities of like, what if now we're looking at like, this is most definitely allegedly possibilities. So
tell me the conspiracy theories that you 100% believe are true. Y'all, let's read the comments and talk about it. Because y'all know I am the conspiracy queen. Like, I could do this all night. This person says the woman on the plane actually saw something. Listen, don't even get me freaking started on the woman on the plane. You know that woman that was like, that man in the back is not real. She saw something. I think she saw something spiritual, because y'all already know that I think the world is more spiritual than physical. And then on top of that, people are like, oh, well, she was just intoxicated. being intoxicated makes you more susceptible to spiritual attacks. So I definitely think she saw something. And then there was that whole like thing where she had disappeared for a second and then someone tracked her coordinates and it was like by the White House. And all of a sudden she popped back up talking about, oh, it was, what did she say? She was like, oh, I don't even know. She got into a fight with someone and like it was nothing crazy. I don't remember what she said on the interview. But all of a sudden after she reappears, she's all over the news. But before, you couldn't see her on the news though.
There's this theory that all of the people who are dreaming about Mall World are also people who were formerly in gifted and talented programs in school. And a lot of weird stuff went on in these programs.
What you mean?
A lot of people remember hearing tests. Headphones were put on our heads and weird little tones were played.
I remember this.
So the hearing test, pink drink, so a little couple pink stuff that we were supposed to drink. A lot of people are like, well, that was just mouthwash, but was it? A lot of kids remember being taken off campus to like weird locations.
I wasn't taken off campus.
That's good. But people will say that Mall World is implanted in the heads of children who were in this GATE program. Because GATE was like a CIA training program, essentially, or a screening program.
I am uncovering something, like a conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it. This is crazy. Short story, super short. When I was a teen, I had a dream that I was in the body of someone who was being kidnapped. I was held hostage in the food court of a mall in Nepal. Now, because I did not know Nepal was a country at the time, imagine my surprise when I Googled it and found out that the place of my dream was real. Now is where it gets crazier. Motherfucker. So I post a photo of the food court that was in my dream. Why are a lot of people saying that they recognize it? Why are people saying that they've had familiar dreams of being kidnapped? Why is someone commenting saying that they were in the body of someone who was the kidnapper? Why are people looking at this and saying they have an immediate sense of dread or fear? It is a food court. It is a picture of a food court of a random ass mall in Nepal. Make it make sense. It's like some real life Sense8 shit. Nepali people, is there some weird shit going on at City Center Mall in Kathmandu? Like, let me know.
Remember those hearing tests that they would make you do in school? They'd put you in a tiny room, put those giant headphones on you, and say, oh, raise your right hand if you hear the little beep in your right ear. What if those tests weren't actually to check your hearing? Instead, they were to test your brain and how you would respond to specific frequencies. This theory states that schools used 3 types of frequencies. They used normal tones that you could hear, ultrasonic tones that you couldn't hear, and infrasound tones, which are sounds that you don't hear but you feel. The ultrasonic tones would measure how your brain reacts to outside consciousness and awareness. The infrasound tones is where people report to feel dizziness, have a tightness feeling in their chest, and have the feeling that they're being watched. Allegedly, the beeps that you would hear were just a cover. What they were really looking for is if you followed directions while you were listening to these different frequencies. People believe that this data was stored not for medical reasons, but for psychological ones. Basically, they were testing to see which kids were more susceptible to certain cues. And this is why this theory has stuck. Millions of people remember those tests feeling like something more than just a simple checkup.
If you're looking for a creepy conspiracy theory, I got one for you. Now, this creepy conspiracy theory doesn't sound dangerous, but once you understand it, you'll never scroll the same way again. There is a theory that we are not being watched to control us, we're being watched to predict us. Not in a sci-fi way, in a data way. So every pause, every replay, every video you finish but don't like, those micro behaviors are logged to build what's called a behavioral prediction model. Now here's the creepy part. These models don't need to know who you are. They need to know what someone like you usually does next. Which means influence doesn't start with persuasion anymore. It starts with timing. Researchers have openly discussed something called behavioral nudging, where systems don't tell you what to think, they just adjust what you see first. So what feels like a personal thought might actually be the most statistically likely thought that someone like you would have. That's the goal, and that's the theory, that the goal isn't control, it's anticipation. And if a system can predict your decisions better than you can, the scariest part isn't the surveillance. It's the illusion that everything still feels like your idea. So, creepy conspiracy or already the norm?
This is part 3 of craziest conspiracies. Let's get into it. We're gonna read more comments on that video and spill the tea. This person says, behind the ice wall, there is a whole different civilization studying us and watching us. I know I've talked about Antarctica so many times, but I'm gonna talk about it again for all the new followers. So, Antarctica. Absolutely sus for every single freaking reason. So Admiral Byrd, he was a famous aviator in the early 1900s. He says he flew into a hole out the other end, hollow earth style, and saw lush green land, and he saw rainbow cities, just like an ancient civilization type thing. Came back, told the world. Admiral Byrd, I believe he unalived 10 years later. Right after that, 1958, NASA was created. In 1959, just a year afterwards, the Antarctic Treaty was signed. I think NASA was a shiny distraction to keep people from looking into Antarctic. The Antarctic Treaty. So basically that treaty is where all of the nations came together to agree on one thing, and that one thing was are to be prohibited from self-exploration of certain parts of Antarctica, where they say it's just ice, right? Like if it's just ice, then what is the big deal? Obviously it is a freezing tundra, but why, out of all the things, nations cannot come together to end world hunger, they can't come together to end a freaking war, all can decide that we can't go to Antarctica? Call me a 5-year-old, but when you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it more. And the ice wall thing came into play because Admiral Byrd had an operation called Operation High Jump. And y'all know I think everything they put in the TV has some kind of fact to it. Let's take into account Game of Thrones, winter is coming, the ice wall in Game of Thrones, and what was behind that freaking ice wall in Game of Thrones, okay? There's a whole theory about what in the world could be behind the ice wall. It could be Gog and Magog, which is an ancient Jewish text, and it's also in the Quran, I believe. In the Quran, they're called Yajuj and Majuj. Basically, it's a king and a group of different kinds of species. A lot of people think it's giants, and they are waiting in the mountains, some remote area that we don't know about. Some people think that they could be Gog and Magog. Some people think that the behemoth is behind the ice wall because of the Leviathan. A lot of us believe Leviathan is still at the bottom of the ocean, which is why they were randomly detonating bombs. Animals were beaching themselves. There were ocean fires, like absolutely insane things going on in the ocean. We know that sea gigantism exists, right? So if we think about how deep the ocean is, Leviathan really could be there. But where would the behemoth? That's the land creature. So where in the world would a colossal land creature hide? Maybe behind the ice wall, especially since it's lush green land.
Okay, write me a comment. What do you think of Antarctica? Harmless or not so much?
Does anyone else remember when people were finding random staircases in the woods? Reports about these mysterious stairways showing up in the middle of the forest began happening in the early 2010s. An entire Reddit thread was created just to share photos and locations of these staircases that were discovered. That thread was started by a search and rescue officer sharing his creepy experiences coming across these staircases in the forest while searching for missing people. According to the original poster, when he asked people on his team, he was told by all of the other officers not to worry about them, that they were normal, but he was also advised to stay away from them and to never, under any circumstances, climb the staircases, but with no explanation why. He described them as standing entirely alone in the middle of nowhere, usually 30 to 40 miles into the forest, and not attached to any ruins of any buildings, almost as if someone had taken the stairs from a house, cut them out, and put them in the woods. He also clarified that these staircases are not just old decaying steps from a long gone house. He instead described them as usually in immaculate condition, sometimes made from materials that just don't make sense for being in the forest, like polished marble or raw iron, and they all seemingly lead to nowhere. This thread created a plethora of conspiracy theories that the stairways were possibly some sort of gateway to another time or dimension. It went so far that even a horror show called Channel Zero picked up the storyline for one of the seasons of their show. In the show, the staircase in the forest serves as a portal to transport the main characters to a mansion owned by a family of ritualistic cannibals.
There's a theory that the Hoover Dam is secretly a demonic throne and that the government put angels there to cover it up. You go to the Hoover Dam, you're gonna see something really odd. There's a spot that has 2 giant winged statues made out of bronze. They look like angels, right? They are technically called the winged figures of the Republic, but this is the weird part. No one officially says what they are. They're not angels, they're not demons, they're figures. And that's not random. There's actually a floor underneath them that is a cosmic map. shows the exact alignment of the stars the day that the dam was completed. Like they wanted like aliens or gods to find this later. You'd think it's just some like artsy little design, right? But the guy who made that design said that this is specifically supposed to last for thousands of years. Like that design was supposed to outlive our civilization. And this is where it gets a little darker. People also call this place the throne of the devil. But why would a dam need a cosmic star map and then two 20, 30-foot bronze guardians? Then all of these like occult looking type symbols. Well, get this. So over 100 workers died while building the dam. And some people do believe that their bodies were sealed into the concrete and that they were considered to be sacrifices to bless the sculpture. And then on top of all of this, the location of these statues don't really make any sense. Like, why would they have these big designs at a power plant? And if you're religious, you also have to remember Satan was originally an angel. Another crazy thing to note is that the Hoover Dam has been featured in dozens of end-of-the-world movies, disaster scenes, and games. It has always been the center of destruction and secret technology. And then it's like, is that a coincidence, or is it programming for us to see it as the key to something? Even the name Hoover comes from a president who was involved in major US power shifts, literal power and electricity. And this makes you wonder if the government is trying to hide in plain sight. Massive monuments with spiritual symbolism built into them. Government approved, celebrated, protected, and most of us never even question it. So when you pass by and you take a little selfie, you don't even realize you're standing on what some call a throne. But the question remains, a throne for who exactly?
We really glazed over how insanely bonkers it is that a place like Epstein's Island even existed. But what most people don't know is that it wasn't the first of its kind. Decades earlier, in the middle of Lake Michigan, a desolate island owned by a wealthy Detroit socialite became the subject of all sorts of wild conspiracy theories. And at first, a conspiracy theory is exactly what most people thought it was. While on the surface, it was just a summer camp for young boys, teaching them survivalist skills in nature, behind the scenes, these children were being flown to this island to be exploited, filmed, and traded among the men who sponsored the island's operations. The owner of North Fox Island, a man named Frank Sheldon, had purchased the land specifically for this purpose. As a matter of fact, the very first thing he did was build an airstrip on the island as a means to shuttle boys in and out. One of the men who sponsored the island was a former school teacher named Gerald Richards. He and Sheldon ran a nonprofit called Brother Paul's Children Mission. The organization was supposed to help underprivileged youth connect with nature, but upon their plane touching down on the landing strip, the boys would soon realize that that wasn't going to be the case.
So let's dive in. Area 51 doesn't actually have aliens. The government does experiments on people there, and that's why some cases go unsolved. They created AI, so when the actual footage of something that we shouldn't see pops up, we'd think it's AI. They're purposely dumbing down the next generation so they're easier to control. The government will never help fix homelessness. It's used as an example, a scare tactic. This is what will happen to you if you don't work 9 to 5 or study. COVID is a population control. To be honest, this is not a conspiracy theory because I think it's true. School is nothing but a factory producing workers instead of successors. If you get good diploma, you'll be rich is the biggest lie known to man. That time is a prison. Celebrities that didn't want to sell their souls become one-hit wonders or become forgotten. History is written by the people who won. Nobody knows what actually happened in war because we're just told by the winners. Maybe the people who lost are actually the good guys painted in bad light. We all don't see the same colors. This explains so much the mystery with that dress. They're hiding some important parts of history. The theory that déjà vu isn't a feeling of familiarity happening again, but when you're actually syncing up with one or more of the alternate versions of you. That NASA found something in the ocean that scared them, so they changed the purpose of themselves to look out into space to look for a way off of the Earth. Everyone is connected in some way. All diseases on Earth are curable. We're just made to believe there's no cure. They hide it. If people have cures, no one dies, which is less money for them. They care about the money and running the world, making it how they want it. How do we know mythical creatures actually don't exist? I mean, only 5% of the ocean has been explored. Imagine the amount of things that have been undiscovered. They put everything in movies to make you believe it's fictional, when in reality it's right in front of your eyes what they do and have been doing to you.
You want to know a fun fact about Vegas?
What's the fun fact?
So, because we are in the penthouse suite on the 20th floor,
right,
we have this balcony here. Just because of how much we gamble, they comp this for us.
Right.
Did you know that they don't have any balconies?
No, why would they not have balconies?
Because people lose so much money at the casinos that they're worried if they put a balcony in the rooms, they'll jump off because they lost money. It's a real thing. Another fun fact about Vegas: there's no corners. If you notice in the gambling room, in the casino, in the slot room,
that's why we get lost.
Yes, because you're walking around. They don't want you to find the exit. They want you to stay.
But then you have chips in your pocket and you walk past the table. And
walk past the table. And you're like, oh, where's the exit? There's no corners.
Get there time.
Before you know, you're 5K lost on a blackjack table.
How do I meet the strangest men? They always seem to find me. Remember that time way back when I kissed a guy who ate his women friends?
Okay, write me a comment. Tell me your favorite conspiracy theories.
Good morning, class. Have a seat. Get comfortable. Buckle in. Today we're going to be talking about how your whole entire life is a lie, aka the Tartarian Empire. Before I even start, I know there's going to be somebody that says, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where's the documents? I have a question for you all. If what's said about the Tartarians are true, if we got phones and cameras and iPads and computers, so did they. Tartaria, you may ask. What is the Tartarian Empire? It's simple. Okay, so the maps from the 16 to 1800s show a massive nation called Tartaria. They are not in our history books from today. You can get a history book from like the early 1900s though. Tartaria's in there. Where to start. A long time ago, there were a group of people. This was pre-Noah's flood or the mud flood, whatever your beliefs are. This was pre that, okay? There was a group of people, they were very technologically advanced. There are architectural blueprints from Paris, St. Petersburg, Chicago, Tokyo, all around, and none of these architectural buildings can be replicated, okay? And it's said that these were made in like the 1900s, the 1800s, when they didn't have power tools, they didn't have electricity, and just normal old people like you and me built these buildings brick by brick. They're lying. That's not what happened. Every single one of these buildings, the pyramids, all of them, they show some wear and tear, and it's not just normal wear and tear, honey. A flood, erosion from a flood. Okay, every single one of them all around the world. You go to these places, there are windows under the ground. There are doors under the ground. There are quite literally cities built on top of cities, and you can see it with your eyeballs. Kind of off topic, and even if what the government says is true, how did we go from beautiful metal monuments with stuff carved in them like an angel did it himself to sheetrock that I can touch and it cracks? I mean, we should have advanced. I want us to think that the Egyptians built the pyramids. I've talked about the pyramids before, and the pyramids tie into this. That's where they're getting their power from. Anywho, all of these Tartarian buildings all show the same exact impossible building styles long before cranes, bulldozers, or honey, even electricity. Grand domes. There are star-shaped cities that like align perfectly with the stars, and these people want us to believe that just a normal me and you like person build it, like with our hands, no electricity, no nothing. In reality, it was the Tartarians. The Tartarians were living their best life, honey. They didn't have no government. They had free electricity. They had free will. They didn't need nobody. They didn't need nothing. They had it all figured out, okay? And I don't know about y'all's government, but my government hates to see somebody self-sufficient. They don't like it. Self-sufficiency means they ain't got no control over you. They had a worldwide electrical grid without wires. And then it was wiped out. If you're a Christian, a Bible reader, or if you're educated, then you know that God sent a flood because he was so disappointed in his people. I'm just going to put this into perspective. He hadn't sent a flood for us, okay? Look how technologically advanced we are. Look at the world crumbling around us. So just imagine how it had to be for him to send a flood. Are we remembering? Are we remembering? Followed by the Noah's flood or the mud flood, there were world fairs. There were world fairs everywhere. And suddenly hundreds of highly advanced buildings and cities were built pretty much overnight, right? And here comes the wars and revolutions to wipe out the rest of the evidence of the Tartarians because the government does not want to know that we can live without them.
This is really freaking me out. I'm in my grocery store and my girlfriend just told me about this conspiracy theory and it's happening in my grocery store right now.
Well, if it's a conspiracy theory, there's no chance it could be true.
I'm going to show you like regular price tags. Okay, look.
Oh, is she going to show the digital price tags with cameras that change price when you look at them?
Paper, regular price tags. This is how much everything is. And then you come over here and look at these ones.
Yeah. And you see the little black dot in the upper right corner? It's a camera. So they know how much you can afford. They know everything about you so that they can squeeze every little penny out of you. Is that what she's about to say? I could be crazy, but let's find out.
That's a camera right there.
Wouldn't it be crazy if there was like a sticker over top of it? That would like obstruct the view. Nobody should do that. You probably should not try to obstruct the view of those cameras. I really advocate against that.
So they're replacing all of the paper ones with those digital ones that they can change automatically, but they have a camera. And so my girlfriend was telling me that they use the camera to use facial recognition, and they're going to link you to like your Amazon account. They're going to link you to everything online. Like
they'll know how much your net worth is. They'll understand how much you can afford to pay.
Everything that you have, and they're going to change the price of your groceries according to who you are, that they recognize by your face, by your Amazon, by your Facebook, by everything. So if they see your spending habits and that you're spending more, your groceries are going to be more expensive.
5 creepiest conspiracies that might be true. Denver Airport's bizarre murals and underground tunnels have sparked theories that it's the HQ for a secret society. What's really hiding beneath? Did we really land on the moon? Some believe the 1969 moon landing was staged, with evidence pointing to inconsistencies in the footage. A strange object known as the Black Knight satellite has been orbiting Earth years. Is it a natural phenomenon or evidence of alien life? Rumors of mind control and time travel experiments swirl around the Montauk Project, a supposed secret government program in New York. Stranger than fiction or terrifyingly real? The Illuminati, a shadowy group said to control world events from behind the scenes. Is it just a myth, or are they truly pulling the strings?
Here's some weird-ass conspiracy theories that I fully believe in as someone who used to watch every single Shane Dawson conspiracy theory video growing up. Number 1 is that our phones are constantly listening to and watching us at all times. I feel like we've all had that experience where we'll talk about something that we've literally never talked about, and then 5 minutes later an ad pops up on our phone about it, which is just, it's not a coincidence. And at the same time, Shane Dawson did just make a video basically about how our phone is kind of constantly watching us, and proved this theory using like red light analysis. I don't know, but the whole thing was weird, and I 100% believe that they are both watching and listening to us through our iPhones. Number 2 is the butterfly effect, which basically means that everything we do will like alter our future. If you leave the house 10 minutes later than you were planning on, something in your future could drastically change. And I will fully believe in this. I will see stuff happen. I'll watch car accidents happen. I'm like, damn, like if they weren't driving at this time, like that probably wouldn't happen. Just like all these different little things that happen in my life, or like if I didn't go to a specific workout class one morning, I wouldn't have met my boyfriend. Like everything affects something else in your life, and it's so crazy when you think about it. Number 3 is that I kind of think The Simpsons do somewhat predict the future. Like, I'm not saying they have a crystal ball and sit there, but it is just weird the amount of coincidences that show has happened. Like, Donald Trump becoming president, the whole submarine exploding, which is something none of us would have ever imagined. Just, like, all these little things that their show has predicted, and I'm just like, there's something going on because it's just so many coincidences. Like, it's weird. Number 4 is that aliens are 1000% real, and if you don't believe that and think that we are the only things that have ever existed in the entire universe, you are just so ignorant. I think, like, I'm not saying that they're green little aliens walking around, but there's 1000% other life. And number 5 is that I 1000% believe in some sort of, like, higher society that is low-key running the world. I'm not saying it's the Illuminati or something like that, but something of the sort where people with power and money are 1000% controlling, like, our government and the world. I think that recently I've just been shown that money can get you anything in this world. You can grease the palms of pretty much anyone nowadays, and to think that there are not people with power and money that are low-key running everything going on, I feel like it's crazy.
Yo, the glitter conspiracy is a rabbit hole you are not ready for. So I didn't know this, but there's legit only like 2 main manufacturers of glitter in the world, both of which are based in New Jersey, of all places. And yes, I'm talking like regular glitter, the same stuff you use in arts and crafts. One of these companies is like super secret and private, that apparently invented glitter themselves and is very hush-hush about everything. And the other is GlitterX. No one really thought much of it until it came out that we actually have a worldwide shortage of glitter back in 2018. Kind of a weird thing to be short of. So a journalist from the New York Times went in to interview the team at GlitterX to find out. She casually asked if she could tour the factory, and surprisingly, GlitterX told her absolutely not. Like, there was no debate about it. She was strictly not allowed to see how glitter was made, and wasn't even allowed to be in a nearby room to even hear how it's made. So instead, she was just left to interview a manager at the company, and things just kept getting sketchier. She asked the manager if she could tell her what industry serves as her biggest market, and the GlitterX rep instantly, without hesitation, tells her, "No, I absolutely cannot tell you." Confused, the journalist asks her if she knows who their biggest customer is, and she replies with, "Oh God, yes, and you would never guess it. Let's just leave it at that." Asking why she can't talk about it, she responds by saying because they don't want anyone to know that it is glitter, and that if you looked at it, you wouldn't even know that it's glitter. The journalist then asks if you'd even be able to see the glitter at all in the finished product, to which the manager replies, "Oh, you'd be able to see something, but it's, yeah, I can't." And this interview single-handedly sparked the great glitter rabbit hole of the internet. Apparently, these clients that purchase glitter are all under a very strict confidentiality clause with GlitterX. They really do not want people to know that their products are made from the sparkly stuff. The industry these products are part of is clearly massive, yet no one knows what it is. So what even is glitter? By definition, it is aluminum metallized polyethylene terephthalate, essentially plastic that has been aluminized and shredded into tiny specks that sparkle. And it's used in a lot of things, from credit cards, passports, currency, football helmets, cosmetics, jet skis, granite countertops, even toothpaste, allegedly. But none of these are quite big enough to be this top industry buyer of glitter. One of the leading theories is that this biggest glitter industry is for boat paint, which many manufacturers do admit they use it in their boats. And they don't want people to know about it because of how much microplastics in the glitter these boats are really dumping into the ocean, which is a hot topic these days and is why they'd want to keep it such a secret. Others claim that it's being dumped into beaches to make the sand sparkle, or that it's just Crest toothpaste and we're rubbing the microplastics directly into our gums, as well as for use in military applications, which would obviously be highly classified, and this is where the theory takes an unexpected turn. Remember that super secret company that basically founded glitter, the other New Jersey company that isn't GlitterX? Turns out they're actually not as big of a secret as they'd like to be, called Meadowbrook Inventions, which was founded by Henry F. Rushman, a German-American machinist who invented modern glitter in the 1930s, and also happened to be part of the Manhattan Project, the highly classified operation that created the atom bomb. So the guy who invented glitter also helped create the world's first nuclear weapon. Who would have known?
This is all alleged and for education and entertainment purposes only. Is Himalayan sea salt actually giant flesh, allegedly?
What?
Fallen angels that came down.
Yep.
They mated with human women.
Nephilim, yep.
The Nephilim. Yep. These giants, but not just, I guess apparently there's like different types of giants. You have like the Titans, you have the giants that were like Goliath, that was maybe like mid-sized giants, but there were huge giants. And when I say that, like not like human, like 9 feet tall human, like you're like, wow, that's this is like, think of a mountain and that is a giant.
Yes.
when God started to notice all of the crazy things these giants were doing. Now they, I guess, went off the handle. They were doing these crazy things, like allegedly eating each other, eating like humans, just doing awful things. And then they got kind of bored with the humans, and then they were like mating with animals. So then they were like hybrid type. Yes. Yep. Okay. So God was like, what is going on? He ordered his angels down to cut down. There were giant trees that reached the heavens because these are hybrid beings, right? Part human, part from a different realm. And obviously evil, demonic things. Cut down these trees. So these mass formations all around the world that everyone says these are mountains, but they're actually big tree trunks that were chopped down. Now,
Devil's Tower.
Yes. So then also the giants, the only way to flood the earth was to cut down those trees because the trees reached the heavens and they could have escaped. Floods came, 40 days, 40 nights. That was the right amount to fully submerge these giants, and they became petrified. They were petrified giants. So all of these like land masses around the whole world. So they say with these massive trees, there were massive amounts of oxygen. I mean, so if you just think of these trees reaching the heavens at that time, that's why they could live such a long, Noah was like 900 years old. Like his grandfather was like 600 years old. It was something like that. And because of these massive trees giving off all of this like rich oxygen. So then that's where they're saying all of these animals, like not dinosaurs, but like dragons and insects were very large because they had this massive amount of oxygen. God orders the angels to come and cut those trees down, floods the earth. Could that be why all of these land masses of ginormous mountains look like actual beings? Now they say there's like a name for it. It starts with a P, pareidolia, where it's like your mind is, you're like, it's like, oh, that looks like a face, but it's not a face. It's just your little brain playing a little tricksy on you, but it's not. Like it is. Like it looks like these giants.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you don't have to be one to find this weird. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, there were hundreds of thousands of orphans being shipped across the United States. And it wasn't just the United States, other countries had massive orphan situations too. Around that same time, you have entire cities burning down, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco. You have thousands of adults being placed into insane asylums. And then you have these massive world fairs with buildings they say were just temporary and then torn down. Now I'm not saying anything crazy, but hypothetically, if someone wanted to reset the world and rewrite history by making sure the past is forgotten, what would that look like? Would it look like burned cities, the adult population being thrown into asylums, and tearing down remnants of the past, and then being left with orphans to repopulate the world and shape the narrative? Maybe it's all just coincidence, or maybe our history is a little more complicated and more weird than we were taught.
Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. Again, write me a comment. What are some of your favorite conspiracy theories? And if you want me to do more of a deep dive into any of the theories in today's video, please let me know. Write me a comment, and I will see you guys next time. Stay spooky. Bye!